Hi, Siri. I'm looking for a new podcast, one that preferably is hosted by a UF Hall of Famer, one that airs every weekday that would bring me everything I need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions. Siri, is there such a show?
Have you heard of Podup with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or any podcast platform?
Oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? UF Hall of Famer Shane Matthews has a show every weekday. I'm going to go check it out tomorrow. Thanks, Siri.
Good morning and welcome, folks. We're live. You're looking live. Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got JC, me and JC kicking off for the first half of the program. Second half, Kyle Crooks and Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com take over, and we'll talk all Gator sports. Good morning, JC. You're on the Titan MR hotline.
Okay, yeah, ready to go. All right, here we are live again, QB. You can actually read some Facebook tweets and posts and all this, text messages. I got to go to St. Augustine and do some cleaning because the cleaning company decided today not to work. So off I go after the show. 90 miles.
Get your mop and your bucket and go mop some floors, vacuum, change sheets, dust, all that good stuff.
It's so fun. It's just good. Anyway, yeah, that's what we're doing today. But, big weekend coming up, coming off that Super Bowl hangover. I'm sure the Philadelphia fans are still trying to get over it. The Chief fans are just getting started with their celebration. It's going to last forever. We've got golf still out in California before they head over this way. We've got college basketball, SEC tonight. Had some games last night, but the leaders are playing tonight. And, a little bit of a breather. Just think that football is now over for 8 months. 8 months.
It really is. It's
I don't care about spring.
But the XFL kicks off Saturday, so we'll see.
That's what you're doing. Okay, the XFL. Who you guys play? What's on the schedule?
We travel to Houston and play the Roughnecks.
Okay.
And then we play the San Antonio Brahmas in Orlando the following weekend on a Sunday afternoon. So
are you playing in the Astrodome?
No, we're playing. I think we play. That's good. I know we don't play there. I believe we play where the University of Houston Cougars play.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That'll be awesome. That you get to go see what Dana's got over there. Yeah. Good.
Dan says big gymnastics meet with LSU Friday. Yeah, gymnastics is rolling, and I'm sure Kyle Crooks and those guys will talk about it. Softball continues to roll. I think softball plays JU tonight. They've played 4 games, JC. They had 3 run rule games. Baseball kicks off this weekend. But it's crazy how good those teams can be. We're also, before we get out of here today, we're going to do our Peachland Dental golf picks on the Riviera tournament, whatever it's called. Tigers teeing it up this week. JC, why are you wearing your Mississippi State gear today?
Hey, man.
They win in basketball last night.
They're gonna beat Kentucky tonight. I'm kind of excited about that. I don't know why I'm so excited about it, but they play Kentucky tonight. Kentucky's trying to get back into the swing of things. They're a 3-point favorite, Mississippi State, on a 6-game win streak. We've also got the Gators tonight at Mississippi at home against Mississippi, probably the worst team in the SEC along with South Carolina. And then we've got Alabama traveling to Tennessee, and Tennessee is a 3-point favorite against Alabama. So you're into those kinds of things. You can get Alabama with 3 points. That's probably not going to happen often. So big night tonight in the SEC. Arkansas and Texas A&M. That's another big game. Arkansas needs a win. They got beaten over the weekend by Mississippi State, who's won, I think, either 5 or 6 in a row tonight, trying to play themselves into the tournament. So.
We got a couple of texts on the Titan MR text line. I guess they came in yesterday when I was on with Edgar Thompson. It says, this is from Darryl. It says, good morning, guys. A lot of your NASCAR pit crew members are former baseball and football players. We were talking NASCAR because he's going down to cover Daytona.
Yeah, you're all over that.
Yeah, I love it. This is an anonymous texter. You like my anonymous texters? He says, if UF had let Keontae Johnson play, they would be a great team this year.
They would.
Look,
really?
I don't know if they'd be. I mean, Kansas State's a good squad, and it's great to see him playing. But the policy was they weren't going to allow it.
They were 2 of 20 from 3-point land against Vanderbilt. I don't need to hear anymore. They can't shoot. And that's the end of it for me. They cannot shoot the basketball. But if they can, get in the NIT, maybe go on a deep run there or something like that. I looked at a tweet from – I'm just going to switch subjects here real quick. I looked at a tweet from Zach Goodall. Don't know who he is, but he said, here's the size of every scholarship offensive tackle Florida has added under Billy Napier. You ready for this? 6'8", 373, 6'8", 370, 6'8", 351, 6'8", 325. He's got something for those 6'8" guys. 6'6", 339, 6'5", 336, and 6'5", 295. My God, does that mean it's going to be better, or does that mean what does that mean?
Well, I guess pretty much what most linemen these days are. If you look at Georgia, you look at Alabama, that's kind of the guys they recruit.
6'8", 6'8",
yeah.
370, 370.
Recruit big dudes, JC. Have you ever, JC, we should get you a sideline pass for an SEC game so you can see how big the damn linemen are. They're huge. All right. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mellon Law, he says JC cleans in his Mississippi State clothes. So you can get some bleach on it and you won't care.
That's good. You know what? Thank you, Dan, for reminding me of that, because I messed up my Cornell sweatshirt with bleach. That was a tragedy. That's a great point. No, I'm not going to use bleach. She will do that. I'm going to do errands or whatever.
So what did you rent this place out, or why is it messy?
It's the beach condo. So we had some folks from the Snowbirds for the last month in the place. So we're going to go clean it up because the cleaning company is not available. And because the problem is we've got folks coming in tomorrow. January, February, and March are rent months. That's when you rent.
Well, can't you get a different cleaning company?
I don't know. It's difficult. People don't like working anymore. So
another text on the Titan Mark text line from some guy. He says, Shane, have you seen Max Brown spin the ball? Do you think he will get a shot to compete for the QB job, or is it a two-man race between the other two? He throws it okay. He moves around. He's also playing baseball right now for the Gators. I think it's Graham Mertz's team, in my opinion. I'm not there. I'm just assuming. I think they're going to turn it over. I've heard a lot of good things about him, so people can have to wait and see what happens. And, I don't know what you're going to take out of spring ball, but we'll see. Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Darring Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker in Parish, will value your fast, friendly, reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. JC, speaking of SEC football, I saw this. I don't get to get on Twitter very much anymore and read, but I saw this last night.
Do
you know that there are 10 new offensive coordinators in the league?
No, did not.
So I'm going to read these names. I'm going to read these names. You tell me where they're the OC now. We're going to play a little game here, see if JC knows his offensive coordinators.
I know where two are, at least.
Okay, you're going to know this one. Tommy Rees.
Alabama.
Dan Enos. Okay, Dan Enos
Ole Miss.
returned.
Ole Miss.
No, he's been at Arkansas. He's going back to Arkansas. Philip Montgomery.
No idea.
He's the OC for the Auburn Tigers. Mike Bobo.
Hugh Freeze is the OC for the Auburn Tigers. Mike Bobo is Georgia.
Liam Cohen is back.
I've heard his name. Tell me.
Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah, I was going to guess that.
Some dude named Kirby Moore is the OC at Missouri. Kevin Barbay at Mississippi State, who was he was the director of football ops for Jim McElwain. So he was kind of like for back in our day, he was like Jamie Speronis for Coach Spurrier for McElwain, and now he's the OC at Mississippi State.
Wow.
Dowell Logans at South Carolina, Joey Hazel at Tennessee, and Bobby Petrino at A&M.
Yeah, Bobby Petrino. Well, I love the Bobby Petrino hire. I don't know how long he'll want to be there, though, but we'll see. I think because he's going to want to be a head coach again. But I think it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm curious why. Well, Georgia fans aren't thrilled about Mike Bobo, I'm sure, but they're thrilled that Kirby Smart is their coach, and they will trust Kirby regardless of who he hires. He could hire me. Love it.
And Andy says on Facebook Live, does Todd Monken leaving Georgia on the Ravens mean that the Bulldogs may skip a beat? Yeah. I mean, I thought he did a really good job. Now, Mike Bobo hasn't been a great coordinator. I mean, I guess you could say he's won some games at different places, but he didn't have the dudes that Georgia has now. You got to remember that. So that goes a long way. Dan asked, is Francois going to start at QB for the XFL Orlando? That's still up in the air, Dan. I don't know what the percentages are of that.
QB, a couple of things I want to throw at you. The Big 12. Basketball right now, number one in the country probably in terms of from top to bottom. 2 for 2 in the playoffs or New Year's Six Bowl in the last 4 years. And again, number one right now in conference. Big 12 is going to be fine losing. Oklahoma and Texas is going to happen next year after this season, so 24. And how many teams do you say right now on February 15th does the Southeastern Conference land in this tournament in a month?
Well, usually I'm a basketball nut. You know, I follow and watch a lot of games. I've hardly watched any, quite honestly. Okay. But I do know that Alabama, Tennessee will get in.
Yeah.
A&M probably is getting in, aren't they?
Yes.
I'm trying to think of who else is in the league.
Well, you probably want
Kentucky.
Arkansas. You might
Arkansas should get in. Kentucky's on the bubble. They got to win some games, or they're not.
Yeah, Joe Lenardi has them out. He doesn't even have them in right now.
Right, and I would think Mississippi State. I don't know what they're in conference. I know they won a bunch of games out of conference, but I don't know if they beat anybody. So I don't know where the RPI and all that stuff is. Ken Palm or whatever. So to answer your question, I'm gonna say 5.
Yeah, and I, gosh, we had Kentucky in there, but right now I've got 4 for sure, and struggling for that 5th and 6th team. And I think Mississippi State's trying to play their way in. They're on a 5-game or 6-game winning streak. They've won 5 in the league, lost 7, but they've won 17 games. They beat Kentucky tonight. They'll go 18-8, and they'll go 6-7 in the league. They're going to try to play their way in. Kentucky's going to try to hold on and get in. But, we were hoping that Florida would get through that tough stretch on the schedule. It doesn't seem like they did enough to me anyway. And
Auburn again.
And Auburn Tigers, I was just going to say that they're definitely going to be. And they beat Missouri by 30 last night. And Missouri's another one of those bubble situations. So 5 or 6 at the point. I think it's somewhat disappointing. I was hoping we'd see at least 6, maybe 7. But it's still early. We still got a month to go. So
yeah. Jeff asked on Facebook Live, are you happy where the offense is for Orlando? It's such a weird deal because what people don't understand is we have a set time. It's this, you hear about the 20-hour rule and whatever in college. This is way worse. So you have an hour and 40 minutes to practice football each day. You cannot go an hour and 41 minutes. You cannot start early. You have a set time that you practice, and that is it. You can't hang out with the quarterbacks after practice and throw. That is outlawed. You have set meeting times. So long story short, training camp was very short. So you got a group of all kinds of people coming in to try to put stuff in. We brought in another quarterback, Paxton Lynch, who was a former first-round pick of the Broncos, 6'7", about 250. So he's only probably practiced with us for maybe 5 practices because he got here the day before the ice storm hit, which we didn't practice for 5 days.
Yeah, I heard.
So time will tell. But we have good days and bad days. It just depends. We got some dudes that can go on the outside. So we'll see. It's an interesting league. I'm having fun. I just wish I could be a little more hands-on, but it's hard to. I don't call the plays. I suggest plays. So we'll see.
Who's your play caller one more time?
His name's Robert Ford, 72-year-old gentleman who coached with Jimmy Johnson with the Cowboys and the Dolphins and things of that nature. So Andy says, I have a lineman from Joliet, Illinois. Looking forward to seeing him play. I'll be honest with you, Andy. I don't even know half the team got kids on our team. I know the quarterbacks. I know the receivers, the linemen. See, here's what's crazy, Jay. You can only keep 50 players. Only 45 can dress out. We
Wow.
only have like 6 receivers on the team.
Yeah.
We have 7 or 8 linemen, 2 or 3 running. I mean, it's crazy because you don't have the numbers. So
are you going to be upstairs or down on the field, QB? And are they going to have microphones up there so the fans watching on TV can hear what's going on, kind of like they did? I thought that was what they did last time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Nat says if it's pro ball, why so stingent on the rules for the XFL? Well, I think what a lot of it has to do with is everybody's centrally located in Arlington, Texas. So 2 teams practice at these different high schools. So you have to set times. And then some of the high schools where they're practicing have indoor facilities where others don't. So if you have bad weather, if you are practicing at a facility that has an indoor, you are not allowed to go practice. For example, if it's pouring down rain, 99% rain and 34 degrees, our high school that we practice at is awesome, but it doesn't have an indoor. The Las Vegas team, they're practicing where they do have an indoor. So everything is shut down. If one team can't do it, the other team can't. And I don't know why they have all those rules. But pro ball, NFL's like that now. Not so much from a meeting standpoint, but you can only go in pads 1 day a week in the XFL. That's the same as the NFL has. So it's basically walkthrough practices. But it's fun. It's interesting. Give these guys an opportunity. They're going to make decent money. If they win, they make more money. So
there you go.
It'll be cool. It'll be cool.
Good.
So all right, JC, let's get to what were you talking about before I brought up when I was asking about the rules?
No, I was just saying, some of the things they did in the XFL before COVID was very interesting to get the audience.
So there's a bunch of different rules so you can go from the 2 or the 3 yard line, get you 1 point. If you go from the 5 yard line after touchdown, you get 2 points, and then from the 10 you get 3 points. The kickoff rule is very interesting because the kicker kicks from his normal spot, but the receiving team and the kickoff team are down at the opponent's 35, 5 yards apart, and they can't leave until the guy catches the ball. So you won't see a lot of collisions there. And then punting, it's catered to the offense. So punting, Johnny Townsend is our punter from Florida. If say we're on the 50 going in, there is no coffin. You can't kick it out of bounds. If he kicks it out of bounds, you're penalized. The other team gets the ball on the 35.
Okay.
So there's a lot of rules in there that I don't have to worry about because a lot of them have to do with special teams. But it'll be fun. It'll be fun to give people something to watch. Bob Stoops is a head coach for the.
You have 8 teams. What do you got? 8 teams.
8 teams.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, and so each week they go. The home team will play from Dallas. They'll travel to their home city and then come back for the week and then do it again the following week, wherever they have to go.
So for example, when we play in Orlando in 2 weeks, San Antonio and the Orlando team will fly on Saturday to Orlando, spend the night, get up Sunday, play the game, fly back to the Dallas area after the game. Just like you do on a regular. The only team that has a bunch of home games and doesn't have to travel a lot is Arlington.
Yeah, that's right there. I mean,
they literally walk out of their hotel into the stadium for practice. They have it made. Stoopsy and them have it made. Let's put it that way. Most teams have 45-minute bus rides to practice. They walk across the street and practice. So.
Well, that's there. I will then give them the odds-on favorites to win it all. The XFL. I don't know this. I don't know who's good or bad. We'll see after the couple games are played. But they play in the. They're going to play at the old ballpark in Arlington, right? Where the Rangers.
It's called Choctaw Stadium.
That's right, Choctaw Stadium. It's all right there. Choctaw Stadium, Jerry World, and the Rangers' new baseball covered baseball park. It's quite a place. I know exactly where you are. It's interesting. Texas Live. So, all right. Well, good luck with that, QB. We're pulling for you. The Orlando team. I'm waiting on my visor. I don't know what I got to do to get.
Well, they sell them. I mean, I don't sell official. They're sponsored by Under Armour, JC.
Well, I think you know all about Under Armour there, QB.
I do, but I can't legally put. I mean, they have their own team shop, just like when you go on Fanatics, you can go on the XFL.com and buy gear.
Oh, okay. Okay, well that's exactly what I was hoping you'd tell me. Actually, I don't know. I mean, I figured you got okay. Well, that's exciting. I guess the only other thing is spring ball in a month or whenever, less than a month, in a month, something like that. No, but I don't care about that. It's not my big thing. I'm on basketball now, QB. I'm into basketball. I'm into the spring sports that are going to crank up around here because they're good at it here. I mean, when you think about the football year and the basketball season we're having here in Gainesville,
all right. So we're gonna get to our Peachland Dental.
All right, you want to do that?
Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. It's the Riviera. Okay. I mean, not the Riviera.
It is. It's at Riviera.
At Riviera Country Club.
Yeah, right. Hosted by Tiger Woods. Whatever.
Tiger is playing.
Yeah.
Well, Dan says now that JC knows the favorite, he can now buy an Arlington Renegades hat. There you go, JC.
There you go. Great.
JC, there's only 8 teams, so you might as well buy a hat for every team.
Support
the league, JC. The Rock needs your help.
Yeah, he does.
The Rock needs your money, JC.
Yeah. Well, he got it when I watched one of his movies 2 years ago.
All right, JC, I'm gonna let you pick first. Write these down. I think I'm whooping your butt in golf, by the way.
I don't. Well, you decided not to play a couple of weeks in the last couple of weeks, so
I took the week off.
Yeah, you did. I'm taking Vic Hovland, the Norwegian, who I think is getting ready to start to win some tournaments. He's close. I like Victor Hovland. I'm gonna take him.
All right, I'm going to take Sunjay M.
Oh, no way. You took a Korean golfer. Okay. That's shocking, honestly. I'll go with, I like this guy. I always have liked this guy. I think I'm predicting he will win a major this year. Whether that comes to fruition or not is unknown. But Will Zalatoris, to me, is, he's from that area. I think he'll be very comfortable playing that course. I'm taking Will Zalatoris.
All right, give me the local kid. Give me Max Homa.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves him. He is the hot name right now on tour. They loved him out in Phoenix last week. What a tournament that was. QB, they had 250,000 people at that tournament each day. It stuns me. All right, well, here's a name you've never heard me pick before, but I think he's going to light it up. Rory McIlroy at Gems. Yes, Rory McIlroy.
All right, my last pick, I will go with Sam Burns.
Yeah.
From LSU, the LSU Tiger.
Yeah. What's happened to them in basketball? Are they going to be good in baseball? I heard they're going to be good in basketball.
They're like #1 in America or #2 in America, I think.
Heard they're going to. Yeah. Well, Tennessee, I think it's Tennessee first.
Yeah, Tennessee and LSU are picked to win the East and West. So we'll see. Right. Baseball plays 60-something games. So, JC, everybody's giving you a hard time here on Facebook Live. Don't be a jabroni. Go buy some XFL gear, JC.
Well, I got to get the color schemes. I got to decide which color schemes I like. What colors are the Arlington teams? What is it?
Arlington is Carolina blue, navy, and red.
Oh my, that's interesting. Wow, I need something like that. Yeah, because I've got some Carolina blue golf shirts that I just bought from Hawthstone Country Club here during the holiday sale, and I could use something like that to match it up. That would be great. Because as you know, we're getting ready for golf tournament season here soon, with Mississippi, Missouri, all kinds of places on the schedule this year. So I've got to get my look right, especially as a defending champion at the Mississippi Masters, as you know. So, not a defending.
That was like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
A former champion.
Oh. All right, JC, have a great day. We got to get to other folks.
We'll see you Friday.
That's JC. Join us on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take a timeout, come back. Kyle Crooks and Scott Carter are going to take over. They're coming in from the bullpen, folks. Have a great day. We'll see you in just a second with Scott.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peaceland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Campus USA Credit Union. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Dave & Buster's. Eat, drink, play, and watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wibby, Realtor Caldwell Banker, MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Aver and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, a number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to Podup, Matthews in the Morning, second half of the show. Kyle Crooks here from the Gator Sports Network, joined by Scott Carter, senior writer of FloridaGators.com, does a great job covering all of the sports for FloridaGators.com. Writes a lot of great features, a lot of great articles that I'm sure you want to make sure you check out, especially for the start of the baseball season. Had a great feature on Trevor Etienne of Florida Gators football. Scott, first things first, how you doing, man?
Hey, good morning, Kyle. Yeah, man, just another busy week, but getting ready for baseball on Friday. That's always refreshing, you know. I like being at the outdoor sports, so I love being at the ballpark. So we'll see what they have this year.
Yeah, everybody in sports right now has the crossover season at this point. I think this is the busiest time for everybody in sports, February and March, and it's no different for you. Let's start with basketball because they played tonight. We'll get to the feature story you did on Trevor Etienne, which is a good one. And we'll also talk a little baseball because that starts tomorrow. But basketball tonight, I think it's pretty fair to say, Scott, probably have to win out. Maybe if there's one loss in there, it's Arkansas on Saturday, but you only have one quad one opportunity. And for those that don't know, quad one is the biggest resume builder for any team. And the only opportunity they have for that is Arkansas on the road, I believe, maybe Kentucky as well coming up at home. That could be the only other opportunity, I would assume. So for them, tonight's a must win. We probably said Vanderbilt was a must win on Saturday. I don't think anybody thought they'd hit 12 threes and score 88 points, but here we are. How do you see this Gator basketball team here down the stretch and what they have to do down the stretch?
Well, I think you hit it on the head, Kyle. I mean, I think every game's a win out if you're really going to be a serious contender to sneak your way into the NCAA tournament. I mean, they're going to have to put together something that really we haven't seen all season. So it would be somewhat of a surprise. This, I think, is a team that obviously has its flaws, especially offensively. With their outside shooting, they just don't have anything consistent from there, and it's really hurt them at times. And perfect example, like you said, Thursday or the last game, Saturday's game against Vanderbilt. I mean, Vanderbilt gets hot from the 3-point line and gets out of Gainesville with the big win. And you know that Florida's not built as a team that's going to get hot and make 12 or 15 3-pointers in a game. You know, Colin Castleton's having a great season, doing everything he can. But you got to have more around him. And, you know, it's first season for Todd Golden. And I'm sure, you know, he would like to be in better position. But this is where they are. And like you said, they need to put together a streak of wins here and maybe do something in the SEC tournament, obviously, to have a real chance and feel good about getting into the tournament. But right now, it's obviously they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah, and the good thing about the SEC tournament is there are quad one opportunities, I guess, available. Probably not early in that first game, but you do have opportunities to eventually build your resume. Now tell that to Texas A&M, who went on a run last year and they were snubbed from the NCAA tournament. They need some consistency on offense, and you say it over and over again. Now they score 80 points the other day, but you go 2 of 20 from three. Scott, in 2023, you can't shoot 2 of 20 from three. And I know that from covering on the women's side, who's kind of they're struggling offensively right now, and they've had some bad numbers from three. You give up 12 threes, you make 2 of them. And the last couple games, I think they've given up a total of 27 threes. They gave up 15 against Alabama. Granted, that's Alabama. That's a really great team, but 15 threes is a whole heck of a lot. You give up 12 against Vanderbilt. You got to guard the arc, and you got to hit shots from the arc. And the Gators over the last couple of games have not done either. It's just the consistency of some of their offensive pieces, Scott, whether it's Will Richard, who's been up and down, got off to an incredible start to the year, has been very up and down since. Kawasi Reeves has not been able to find that outside shot. Myron Jones, while his assist turnover ratio is incredible in SEC play, I think he was scoreless the other day against Vanderbilt. He's been kind of a non-factor offensively. So you look at all those pieces, Collins having an All-American type year, right? But the rest of it is just not there for them.
Yeah, it's almost like there's a lot of similar pieces around Castleton, and none of them have really emerged as that leader in the backcourt, that guy that they can really rely on when they have to have something from that position, whether it's creating opportunities for other guys or, getting their bucket themselves. And then you go back to the 3-point shooting. I mean, it's just something in today's game, it's such a perimeter-based game. If you don't have consistent 3-point shooting, you're going to be limited in some things, especially when the game's close down the stretch and you need a big shot. You can kick it into Castleton and he can kick it back out. And you might get a good look, but just guys unable to make that shot consistently. And we've seen Gators have those kind of players. We'll see if they can get some magic together. But from what we've seen, Kyle, I expect kind of more the same. I mean, after they beat Tennessee, I think that was when most people thought, okay, are they going to parlay this into something more, or was it just a one-hit wonder? And unfortunately, right now, it kind of looks like a one-hit wonder. But I've been surprised. They still have time, but they've got to win out.
Yeah, the time is ticking away here, and definitely some of that glare and shine from the Tennessee win kind of faded a little bit because Tennessee's lost on back-to-back buzzer beaters. They lost to Vanderbilt on a corner three, and they lost to Missouri on like a half-court heave.
Yeah,
so they've lost a couple of games, and so some of the shine has come off of that win a little bit. You did a great feature on Trevor Etienne. I suggest everybody go find it on FloridaGators.com. Going into his first spring camp, had a really good freshman season. Him and Montrell Johnson in the backfield. You'd assume Trevor's going to play a giant role on this team this year, but you got a chance to talk to his brother Travis, who's a running back for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Just what did you take away from your time with Trevor?
it was really the first time he's done like kind of media since he came in, with the no freshman rule. So I just wanted to kind of see what this guy's about and how he thinks. And one thing that immediately struck me, and I think his play, if you're watching closely, and just the way he carried himself and his demeanor, I think you could tell he's a pretty mature guy for his age. He's only 18, doesn't turn 19 until July, but he's already had a really good freshman year. And he's one of these typical guys, Kyle, that you could tell when you have an older brother who you can follow in your footsteps, who, had an unbelievable college career at Clemson and is now in NFL. He had a great role model to kind of emulate, and he's picked up a lot of lessons there. But he's also out to, define his own name and who he is, because he's a different kind of player than Travis. But he's also got similar ability. And, I was looking it up the other day just out of curiosity, like Travis Etienne. I mean, his first year, he had 750 yards at Clemson, a much better team. Trevor had 719 at Florida. So, they started off their careers in similar fashion. And Trevor is going to be a huge part of what they're trying to do. I mean, when you look at Billy Napier's building blocks with this program, he would be one of the top 3 or 4, I think, on that list because of, being so young and establishing himself in his first year on campus. And now he's like, you always talk to these guys and some of them get it. Kyle, you've done this for a while, you know it. You could tell the guys, the athletes who kind of have a vision beyond just the day-to-day. And Trevor's that kind of guy. He's like, I had a good freshman season, but only for a freshman. I mean, I'm not happy with it. I want a lot more. And so he's already thinking that way. And those great ones, that's how they always think. I mean, they're never really satisfied. So I'm excited to see what he does as a sophomore and really just during his time at Florida, because I think if the Gators turn around their fortunes under Billy Napier and he gets this thing going the way he envisions, I think you'll see Trevor Etienne be one of the faces of the program, one of the stars. So, it was interesting just to kind of chat with him for a while and get to know him a little bit. And I think Gator fans should be pretty confident that he's the kind of player they want on the roster.
And there were 2 significant moments that you highlighted in your article in his early tenure here about how confident the coaching staff is in him. That Utah game, he has a couple of mishaps, has that fumble early, the fumble in the 4th quarter, which he recovers. The Gators eventually go on to score in that drive. But he thought, and which is kind of the ideology of all football players, right? You make a mistake, you sit on the bench, you hang your head, and maybe you'll get back into the game. But he sensed something pretty early, Scott, about this staff, didn't he, about their confidence in him?
Yeah, I mean, when he got, when he did fumble and in a critical situation, he got the next carry, that told him that, okay, because he said, look, I was shocked that, I thought I was going to be going out to the sideline and maybe not play again as a freshman. But they went right back to him, and he picked up a few yards on the next drive. And yeah, I think that's why he's here. That's why Billy Napier was really after him to come here, because he had all the big D1 offers, and a lot of people assumed he would go to Clemson, but he didn't want to follow Travis's steps there. A lot of people assumed he would go to LSU, but he said he wanted to really get away from home some, and Florida was a school that always was attractive to him. And then, of course, when Napier got hired here, that was an easy move for him because he had some contact with Napier. He grew up in Jennings, Louisiana, which is only a short hop from Lafayette, where Billy Napier was at Louisiana, about a 45-minute hour drive on I-10. So they'd had some communication, had met each other, and then he ends up here. And first of all, he didn't even think he was going to play that first game. He just kind of, like a lot of freshmen, assumed that, if he got in, it might be late, and they got him in on the second offensive series. And then, of course, he ran off a 19-yarder first carry, split carries rest of the game. And now, of course, with Naquan Wright having transferred, it's Trevor Etienne and Montrell Johnson Jr. going into a 2023. That's kind of the two-headed monster there at tailback, and both guys are, high-quality running backs in the SEC. And I think that's probably where your offense is going to start, around them, and then expand from there, because, Graham Mertz, he's still getting accustomed to the system. But when you have that kind of talent behind you, it certainly should ease the transition some.
Yeah, if there's any strength of this Gator football team heading into the new year, it's definitely in the backfield with Etienne and Johnson. Celebration Point is where the Gators come to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, International Diamond Center, Dave & Buster's, Bass Pro Shop, Regal Cinemas, Visors Rooftop, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We will see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators come to celebrate. So I'll ask you one more question about football, and then we'll transition into baseball, because I know we like to talk football 365, 24/7, that whole deal. But we got a baseball season that's getting started here. By the way, softball continues to kind of just roll along here. They've scored, so I'm trying to do the quick math, 54 runs in 4 games. They have not played a full game yet. They've only played 5-inning games so far. They've had a run rule in every single game. So also, Gator fans, it will be televised tonight on SEC Network Plus with the radio call over top. But you get a chance to watch the Gators tonight, so make sure you tune in. Tim Walton's crew is, man, they're number 3 in the country, and they're just rolling along right now. So enjoy.
And when that season starts, man, it's like, they start and you look at the standings 2 weeks later and they've already played like 17 games. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Well, that's part of my crossover season, Scott, is that I'm going to South Carolina today. The women's team takes on #1 South Carolina and probably in front of 17,000 fans. And then you got a tournament. You play 4 or 5 games or so over the weekend. Like you said, in an eye blink, you've played about 17 games. So this football team, we'll talk about just the overall expectations coming into a new year. We're still in, February. The Super Bowl is just finished. So we should, we're already counting down the days until fall camp. Expectations for you. The assumption would be that Graham Mertz is a starting quarterback, but I don't think that's written in stone or anything like that. What do you think the ceiling is for this team as we sit on February 15th of 2023 that can change a million times to the start of fall camp?
Yeah. Well, I think just where we are today and considering where we were, 2 months ago at the end of the season, 6 and 7, I usually start there when there's such an unknown commodity. So right now, I'm looking at kind of expectations of 500 going into this year because there's so much newness, Kyle. I mean, I can't sit here and say with any confidence that they're a much better team. They're going to win at least 3 more games next year. I mean, I think that would just be, hyperbole or incorrect. I think right now, I'll start at 500 and see what these newcomers can add. I do think there's some freshmen coming in that are a little bit ahead of the curve in what we've seen the freshmen be in the last 3 or 4 years. I think they did a really good job in the recruiting class from top to bottom. I think they had I want to say 16 or 17 blue chip recruits, which is the most they've had in more than a decade in an entire class. 17 of those guys are already in, so they're mid-year enrollees. So they're getting acclimated right now as we speak. There's only 4 that are not of the true freshmen. And then, of course, you have the 10 transfers who are in. And let's just start with the biggest name there, Graham Mertz, the quarterback from Wisconsin. I really think that Mertz can surprise a lot of people. There's no doubt that he has a lot of talent. He had really good moments at Wisconsin, but it was almost like, okay, maybe he stalled there. And I did sit down with him last week, Kyle. I'm going to write about him coming up. And, I asked him the obvious question. I'm like, they had a coaching change up there. So, he's looking to start fresh. The obvious thing, okay, you could have had a lot of offers. I'm sure you could have gone to other places. Why Florida? He says he came down here to a practice and he saw Napier and the quarterback's coach and the staff. He says, man, they were coaching so hard. And he says, that's what I want because I need it. I want to be really coached hard because he's like all these guys at his level. He wants the shot at the next level, that he knows there's growth there to be had. And you're not going to get that unless you're coached hard. And I think that's why he's coming in. He's a very veteran guy. You can already tell he's going to be one of the clear-cut team leaders. Great personality. I mean, he's a totally different kind of personality than Anthony Richardson. Obviously, different talents, skill sets too. But already he commands kind of a different presence. He's just one of those veteran guys, very outgoing, very confident. So I think he seems like really intrigued by this opportunity and motivated by it. And I think he has all the things that can make Billy Napier's offense work the way Napier wants it to. And then we talked earlier, it starts with the running game and having those guys. And he's not going to have to come in here and throw for, 3,500 yards and 30 touchdowns. If he can just avoid some of those just mistakes, game-changing mistakes that we saw with Anthony, and make some of the throws that he's shown his ability to at this level, then you've got something that can really work if your defense is playing well and your special teams are doing its job. So I do think I really like them to have an improved season, but again, it's just so early. I mean, I think it starts with Graham Mertz, and it's not a position that's settled by any means. Like you led with, Jack Miller's still here. He's in the competition, and Billy has said that they're going to look to add another transfer portal scholarship quarterback over the summer. And then we don't know what Max Brown's future is. he's playing baseball right now. And to be honest with you, I saw him as a development guy even before he started playing baseball. So I don't think he's going to factor in at all in 2023. So, I think on paper, it feels like Mertz's job to lose. And from talking to him, he doesn't have any plans to do that, but you got to give Jack Miller a strong look. I mean, Jack Miller's, whereas last year, I don't know if he ever really was considered to challenge Richardson. I think he is there to challenge Mertz. So it'll be fun to watch through the spring and see how that race emerges. But just first impressions with Mertz, I was impressed. I just liked his demeanor and liked his veteran. There's nothing that he's going to see here that's going to catch him off guard at all.
Yeah, if there's any, you look at the track record for Napier when it comes to transfers and the guys that he's brought in, it's been pretty good. Torrance is going to have a brick outside the stadium. Pearsall's been good. They'll get back him for another year. And of course, Etienne as a freshman, what he's done as well. And we just talked about him. If you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. Not surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics with locations in Ocala and now open in Gainesville. Call 352-400-4550. So, baseball, the big leagues, you got pitchers and catchers showing up here soon. But now you got college baseball season. It's here. We're excited about it. Soli's group. A lot of preseason expectations, which normally is the case. They kick it off tomorrow, first of a 3-game set against Charleston Southern. You've written a lot of good stuff about the baseball team. Again, go check it out on FloridaGators.com. Anything that sticks out about this team before opening night tomorrow, Scott?
Well, I mean, I really like the pitching. With Brandon Sproat, getting him back, that was huge. He really turned it around the second half of last season. He's your top starter, but then the guy going number 2 to open the season, Hurston Waldrop, a transfer from Southern Miss. This guy has electric stuff. I mean, he could have, and this is considering what they've had, Kyle, over the last decade. Waldrop probably has as good of arm as I've seen the Gators have. So I'm really intrigued by what he can do. And then another guy I think fans really need to pay close attention to is the sophomore Jack Caglione. We got a little look at him last year when he came up and provided when he came up, I'm talking like he got called up for the Pirates. But he was there all year, but they had some injuries and he just didn't really crack the lineup until mid-season. And I think he hit 7 home runs over that span, had a lot of power. But he's also a pitcher who did not pitch last season because of Tommy John surgery. And now he's going to be one of the guys. Sully said it the other day when we met with him over at the stadium. He says, for us to be the team we want to be, we're going to need him to give us a lot of innings. So he's in the running for the 3rd starter spot. Brandon Neely's back. So we've seen it over and over, Kyle, with this program under Kevin O'Sullivan, who I just baffles me. 16th season, man, that went by fast. So it starts with pitching and defense. And while they had big hitters last year, like Wyatt Langford, who's back, Judd Fabian's gone, they're going to have a good offense again. I just think this team is you start with the starting pitching, and then you look at the solid defense. You look at versatility. There's got guys like Derek Fabian who played third base a lot last year. He can play second. He can play first. Caglione, a DH, a pitcher first. BT Ripel, the veteran catcher, plays first a lot. So it's a mixture of young players, veterans. They're top 10 and nationally, we're accustomed to seeing them most years. And let's face it, they haven't, they have not been to Omaha now since 2018. And I thought last year Sully did maybe one of his best coaching jobs I've seen him do, because that team was 6-12 in the SEC and kind of just floating in the water there, going nowhere. And they really came together and figured some things out and made a nice postseason run to the tournament. Then they got knocked out in the first round. So I think the goal is to get back to Omaha, really, really knock at that door. And I think they have a team that if they stay healthy, I think they'll be in that conversation all season. They're picked second in the SEC East behind Tennessee. But they should be, if they maximize what the roster is, I think they'll be in the hunt.
And Langford, he's probably one of the best stories
Yeah.
that since you've been here covering baseball. A guy that didn't play, what, Scott, had 4 bats his freshman year, and then turns around, all SEC type. You mentioned they get BT back, but how about Langford? How do you have an encore to last year? What did he hit, 26 homers last year?
26 home runs, I think 63 some RBIs. I mean, and the guy was the bullpen catcher the season before, and he went off to play summer ball after the 21 season, and I think he grew up there, came back, and Sully has said it a million times. I mean, the guy really did reshape his body. He got lean, worked out, cut off some fat, and really made himself a good left fielder, and made himself an asset on the bases when he's on, and of course the big bat tied Josh Laporta's home run record, or Matt Laporta's. So bottom line is, he's if he can match anything near last year, that's going to be huge for this team. And it is such a great story, Kyle, because this is a guy from Trenton, not too far from Gainesville, and always wanted to play at Florida. And he gets here and has to wait his turn. And then when he gets his turn, he explodes onto the scene. And I mean, he's one of the top returning players in college baseball. I think in the last draft rankings I saw, he was the number 3 overall prospect for for sophomores. So bodes well for Kevin O'Sullivan and his staff and the Gators. So we'll see what he does. But yeah, Friday night, man, it starts up, and we'll get to see Sproat and then Waldrop on those first 2 nights. So I'm excited to get out there and see what they do.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So you got softball and baseball this weekend over on the southwest side of campus. Also, you'll be able to watch all the games on, or at least watch all the baseball games on SEC Network Plus. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ugrainsurance.com or call us at 352-240-1779. Also, Peachland Dentistry is Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Now coming up, I guess, would be time for JC and the QB's weekend pick. So stick around later in the week for that. So, Scott, is this your favorite time of year as a writer? You used to cover baseball, correct, before you came here? Or do I have that wrong?
No, I did. I covered baseball for about 7 years.
Okay.
Saw a lot of bad baseball. I covered the Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Yeah.
You know what? I also got to go to, World Series and postseasons. I was there at Yankee Stadium when Aaron Boone hit that home run against the Red Sox in Game 7. So I've seen some great moments. Baseball has always been, I think, my first love in sports. I mean, I love the game. I love to write about it. I think as a writer, it offers, a lot different ways because there's so many little nuances to it. But, I know my Gator fans too, Kyle. I know football is their passion. I love football, man. I mean, if I'm going to spend one day involved in sports, I'm going to pick a college football game. I love college football. So, but this time of year, man, I mean, it's like last weekend, I remember writing a baseball story, writing a football story, doing editing some gymnastics. I've written about Trinity Thomas a few times already this year. Golf, got a golf feature coming up. So, you just bounce around, but that's really why I like what I do, because I'm one of these people that I just can't hammer the same topic over and over. Just for, it just drives me nuts. So I love to get out and meet these different athletes and these different sports and get to share some of their stories. And thankful there's a lot of Gator fans out there, because there's not a lot of places in the country that I think the interest in the complete athletics department sports is as high as here. So yeah, man, but it's a good time of year. I know you're bouncing around too, man.
Yeah, it is a fun time of year, and for you get to cover a great baseball team and gymnastics, which is incredible for another year, just to get a chance to watch Trinity Thomas do her thing for another season. It's just incredible, Scott.
She's the best athlete on campus right now.
Yeah,
really.
I think Mount Rushmore. I think eventually it's hard to crack the Mount Rushmore of football, men's basketball players. But you almost have to carve out a headstone for Trinity Thomas. She might be the greatest athlete like in the history of, and I'm not even being hyperbolic or, being a prisoner of the moment, but she's absurd. She has a 10 almost every meet.
Yeah, she is great. I've been around gymnastics for a while now. I didn't know anything about the sport when I got here, but it was part of the gig. So I remember I was out with them at UCLA when they won their first national championship, and they had Bridget Sloan. Then they won it again the next year. So they won 3 in a row, Kyle, and Bridget Sloan. I'm like, they'll never have another performer like her. Sure enough, Trinity Thomas has surpassed her in a lot of the individual accolades. The one area that I thought Bridget was so good, man, in the clutch. So we're gonna see if Trinity, in the postseason this year, and she came through in the clutch last year with winning the all-around NCAA title. It's just that the team just a spot short. So if she gets the kind of help, they should be right there for that national title, and that's all she needs to her resume. I mean, she's done everything else she can, and she's got a chance before it's over to be the NCAA gymnast with the most 10s in history. And she's at such a peak right now, and it's kind of going to be interesting to watch how this unfolds. But she's 21 years old, which by gymnastics standards, right, that's like being a 40-year-old baseball player, football player. But I think she is doing so well. I think she's entertaining the idea with the timing of trying maybe compete at the 2024 Olympics if she can go one more year after this, not at Florida, but continue to train. It'll be interesting to see, because she got injured for the Tokyo Olympics, and most people, when she shut her elite career down, they figured that was the end of it. But she said this year that she's not closing it yet. And with the way she's performing right now, why? I mean, her routines are getting more difficult, and she's nailing them. So it'll be fun to watch, see what she does.
Yeah, she's a competitor, no doubt. Well, go check out Scott's stuff on FloridaGators.com. He has something up there about Trevor Etienne. He has all the baseball coverage throughout the year. And like he mentioned, he has a story coming on Graham Mertz. So be on the lookout for that. Scott, thanks so much, man. You're one of the best at what you do, and we appreciate you taking the time with us.
All right, Kyle. Thank you, buddy. Have a good trip to South Carolina, man.
All right, sounds good. That's Scott. And for our producer, Tammy, I'm Kyle Crooks. I'll be back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Peace out.